Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of HSBC's all-new roundtable series, Scale to Succeed. Today, as businesses power the next phase of growth and business continuity, Your Story is proud to partner with the HSBC to feature entrepreneurs and industry stalwarts to engage in inspiring conversations and share valuable insights and groundbreaking lessons from their experiences. We're here today to put the spotlight on the Indian beauty and personal care segment, which did take a hit due to the pandemic, but has re-emerged as one of the fastest growing sectors in the country. Expected to become $30 billion by 2025, the growth in the Indian beauty business is driven by key trends such as increasing number of smartphone users in the country, penetration of the internet, and continuing rise of India's young aspirational workforce, among others. And to give us a big picture, we have some of the pioneers from the industry. But before that, let me introduce you to my co-moderator for this session. Please welcome Rahul Sharma, the Region Head Business Banking, Western India HSBC. Over to you, Rahul, to introduce our panel.
Thank you, Priya. We today have with us a very diverse and an exciting panel indeed. So from skincare to hair care to women hygiene, I think this is solving many problems for the target audience. I'm quite excited to hear their thoughts on the emerging trends in the sector. So without further delay, let me welcome Aishwarya Biswas. Aishwarya is the founder for Ori Lifestyle. We also have with us Deep Bajaj, founder Sirona Hygiene, and Rahim Kabani, Director, Beauty Essentials. It's a pleasure to have you all of us with us today. Looking forward to the conversation.
Right. Thanks for that, Rahul. Let's kick off this panel discussion, and I want to come to you first, Rahim. Many of the experts have believed that there has never been a better time to run a D2C beauty and personal care brand in India. We've seen the kind of exponential growth over the last year and a half, specifically when it comes to lots of new and emerging D2C brands. Do you agree with this? And what, according to you, are some of the factors that are really driving growth in the beauty and personal care industry?
Sure, Priya. Firstly, thanks for having us on. I think definitely this is one of the best times for a D2C brand to exist in India, especially in the personal care and what we are in the hair care industry. COVID has sort of pushed us all to adopt the online module, whether it be from a manufacturer, whether it be a trader, whether it be the customer themselves. I think everybody has sort of flocked to go online and sort of look at distribution channels which are being explored to get to the consumer directly. For a business like ours, which we were primarily B2B, wherein we supply to distributors, we supply through salons, and through the salons we actually reach the consumer. So for a company like ours, where we were really forced and really pushed to make sure that we figure out ways in which we reach the consumer directly, which we were able to do over the first few months during the pandemic. And what we saw is that there is a certain level of freedom that you get when you reach directly to the consumer. The amount of data that you kind of are able to collect, the insights that you get because you're dealing directly through the consumer is sort of unparalleled, and which is what we saw as a way to drive our business going forward. We were pushed to have our own website set up. We were pushed to explore, the e-commerce marketplaces, and we were really surprised by the kind of response we got through those distribution channels, and which, for example, for us, online used to account for not more than 5 to 7% of our business, but during COVID it was close to 50%, and even after COVID we've seen that number to kind of reach close to 15 to 20% of our business. So that's been a great boon for us. I think this would have definitely not have happened if COVID would not have been there. So it has pushed us to ensure that we reach the consumer directly. And generally speaking as well, I think consumers themselves are a lot more responsive to be able to explore new brands, to look at trying out something new. And online kind of gives them the opportunity to sort of look at different options and see what could work for them. And I think the rise of this industry is a lot to do with the fact that tier 2 and tier 3 cities are fueling the growth in a big way with rising disposable incomes, and obviously the the fact that a lot of people are now on social media and online, it has led to a certain, sort of dependency on grooming, and a dependency on looking good, feeling good. Uh, it's more like an hygiene now to, sort of go to a salon and get a proper grooming routine done, as opposed to maybe in the past, it used to be somewhat of a luxury. So, these are all factors which are driving the growth. And this is something that we feel will continue. It's more of a recession-proof industry. And I think this will sort of remain to be for the near future.
Right, Deep, let's come to you. Feminine hygiene is an important part of beauty and personal care, and you cater to that segment. You also have your own bunch of personal care products that you're selling on your platforms and across channels. Tell us, what kind of response are you getting for the brand out there? Do you think more women are confident and more open in ordering intimate personal care products online?
Thanks, Priya. Always a pleasure to speak to YourStory. And thank you for having me once again. So, in our case, we operate in a very allegedly taboo industry. We don't talk about female hygiene issues here that openly, especially toilet, menstrual, and intimate hygiene-related issues are not discussed too openly. Having said that, online changed that to a very large extent for us. It's been a stellar ride for us, touchwood, growing 100% year on year. Around COVID also then helped in accelerate the growth, because your periods don't stop for pandemics, right? So when it came to requirement for products like ours, they didn't go anywhere and they were not available offline. So that accelerated. And then I think technology, like Rahim Bari rightly mentioned, also played its part, and you mentioned about mobile penetration. All those factors have today contributed in a lot of awareness around these solutions being available. Like gone are the days when, if you were looking for a solution, the only place for you to discover them was offline stores. Today, online is World Wide Web. Any information, any product that is available anywhere across the world can almost be, imported here. And within India, with Amazon, Flipkart, and obviously our own D2C portals, respective brands are doing a fantastic job in making products available. So in a category like ours, which has a taboo around it, I think online is the best place for us to start the dialogue around some of these unaddressed issues. So Sirona has seen fantastic growth. Even our second brand, P-Buddy, which was India's first stand-in P device for women, has sold 3 million units, and I would say not even 2% of it has come offline. And all of this in the last 4 years, and it's a very different product to use. Sirona menstrual cups. Who would have imagined, a million women would be using it? We are country's highest selling menstrual cups. All this was very difficult, I'd say, a few years ago. Now, thanks to awareness, thanks to technology, thanks to logistics, thanks to increase in disposable incomes, brands like us are not only surviving, but I'd say thriving.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Deep. Ashwara, I want to come to you now. We recently saw you successfully pitching your brand at Ollie at Shark Tank India. I would like to understand your perspective on the growth of this sector and some of the key challenges that the Indian beauty industry is facing today.
The challenges are that people see, I came on television for 15 minutes and the entire outlook towards the brand kind of changed overnight, right? So it's still the crowd who's making a brand by what they see on television. And which is why all the big players, once they start receiving funding or they reach a certain stage or selling online, they definitely move to your traditional, ways of promoting the brands, like say going on television or doing outdoor or, newspaper ads and things like that. So that's always, that's a challenge that smaller brands face. But at the same time, like I said, being when you have a little bit of funding in the bank and when you have a little bit of, confidence that you have a runway for the next 9 months or maybe a year, then you can work that much more confidently to put your message across. And the beauty industry is growing by leaps and bounds. Primarily, I think because, there are two kinds of people in this industry. One who are out there to make money, and the others are out there to make a legacy. Okay, there are two types of us. And, even if I was to maybe change, 100 minds in my lifetime to make them wear sunscreen every day, I think my job here is done. So there's two way of looking at it. And yes, of course, money comes as if I convince one person, that person sees results, and then from there that person tells another bunch of people. That's how we started, and I think that works. The industry is again like it's booming from all ways possible because the country, the sheer size is so large, and even if there's a small size of the big pie, it's still a lot. Brands now who are Indian made and proudly so, and really giving the international products a run for their money also. So yeah, that's where I see us going.
Right. Rahul, over to you.
Thanks, Priya. Thanks. I have a question for Rahim. So, Rahim, your brand Beauty Essential is one of the leading suppliers of professional care products for to salons and India. You've also worked in markets like, say, Canada, USA, etc. How different is the Indian market from those countries? And what is the potential that you see in the Indian market for these products?
Sure, Rahul. So I think compared to the markets, the mature markets like the USA and Canada, India is a lot more unorganized. I would say from the time that we started till now, there's been a lot of push to the market getting organized, and we've seen that over the last decade that we've existed in the country. But compared to what we see in the US and Canada, there's a lot more chaos, but there's a lot more opportunity in India, especially in the distribution business that we are at. There is the way the markets work in the US and Canada. There are much bigger distribution houses, which have a much bigger stronghold of the market, and they sort of dictate the market, as opposed to in India where it's a much more smaller market. There are a lot more fewer customers currently compared to the kind of purchasing power that we have in the US and in Canada. But at the same time, there's a lot more competition. There's a lot of brands. We operate primarily in the keratin sector, or the keratin category. We supply keratin treatments to salons across India, and we've seen a mushrooming of brands coming into India and trying to capture this market. So there's a lot more competition, and the market is a lot more smaller. But like I mentioned earlier, that with the rising disposable incomes, the tier 2, the tier 3 cities, psychologically there's a lot of dependency on grooming and on beauty. So we're seeing tremendous opportunity that is going to be coming in over the next 3 to 5 years. Currently, I just recently read that the salon industry is sort of at around 55 to 60,000 crore, but is looking to probably grow at a CAGR of 28 to 30%. Right, so that's a massive growth year on year that we're seeing. In the next probably 4 to 5 years, we're looking to triple that number, triple the industry figure. So right now it doesn't matter how many brands come in. It's an ocean that it's about who can kind of take the market share and who can really run with it. I think we're seeing that over the last 10 years, but the kind of growth that we're sort of going to be seeing over the next 3 to 4 years, we're very optimistic, and just looking forward to riding the wave.
So thanks, Rahim, and that's really exciting to hear. My next question is to you, Deep. Especially after the pandemic, digitization has played a very important role in changing the fabric of beauty and personal care segment. While you really cater to a different segment within the D2C industry, how do you at Sirona leverage the technology to enhance customer experience or increase the reach for your product?
Oh, thanks for that question, Rahul. I'd say that let's break this into two parts. One is the customer-facing side of technology solutions that are available, and one is the backend. And I think both of them play an important role in ensuring that the customer experience is fantastic. And today, there are a lot of startups which are enabling the D2C ecosystem with their SaaS solutions in both ends of the spectrum. And we at Sirona are using both equally. So for the backend, like I said earlier, for you to manage your warehouses, deliveries, for your inventory management, the solutions were not as nimble as a D2C brand might require. But today, there are solutions available for this. Similarly, in the front customer facing side of it, Shopify has made transactions very easy. There are plugins available for remarketing, which you can leverage, which we are using right from WebEngage to a few others. And similarly for delivery experience, CRM softwares are available, which we are using. So I think very interesting times for being in the D2C space.
It surely is a evolving space and a lot of use case scenarios to really look at. My next question is to you, Aishwarya. Do you think Indian beauty brands have the potential to really make it to the global market? And if yes, what are the steps that your company is really taking to explore the international markets?
Of course, I think that's a no-brainer. I think we all have the potential, because I think in Indian market, a lot of us are making sure that we make quality products. In fact, our life's goal is to give them a taste of our ancient medicines or medicinal properties of the roots and herbs and Ayurveda and a lot of such things. See, we've always seen the West making turmeric popular, but it's been ours forever. Right. So when we wake up suddenly one day and say, they are talking about turmeric latte, it makes us feel really bad. So we want to take it to the global market, and we want to kind of leave a mark. And I have personally, again, you were talking about Middle East and, those regions. 10 of our products have been approved by the bodies there. And we are planning to launch very soon in whole of GGC and then to the MENA countries.
Right. I have a quick question for you, Rahim. Do you think there is enough support from the ecosystem, especially from the government, to the startup community, specifically in the beauty and personal care space? Are there any other measures that you think that the government should really put in place to boost and to encourage the sector?
Question of the panel, Rahim, go for it.
So for us, sort of specifically, I think yes and no. Yes, because we are an importing organization. We import our products and then we supply to salons. We represent these brands, global brands in India. So from an import standpoint, back in 2012-13, the CDSCO, which is the governing body for cosmetics industry, they put in a registration process for all importing brands to make sure that they register with the government. This ensured that we did not have any unorganized players coming in and sort of importing brands from anywhere and claiming that this is official or authentic, genuine brand. So this really helped us, which we were one of the few organized players back then, and it really helped thin the herd in the sense that a lot of these fly-by-night operators, sort of importing from God knows where, were kind of pushed out of the market, and some of the organized players were left to kind of then compete. And obviously, over the years now, a lot of because of this sort of registration, a lot of players have come in and have stuck to being organized. Obviously, with GST and all of that, a lot of things have improved. But at the same time, there's a lot of ignorance from the government when it comes to the salon industry specifically. I think we saw this during COVID as well, but there was not enough help for the beauty industry at large. I think hairdressers specifically were ignored. The industry was looked at as more of a luxury as opposed to an essential service, despite the kind of jobs that we create, despite the kind of impact that we have, especially on second income earning. A lot of women, sort of run salons or work in salons. But despite all of this, I think there was a little bit of ignorance from the government. So I feel, one is that there needs to be some kind of a organized approach within the industry, whether it is to create a national association that we can kind of then use to lobby and use to work with the government and have our voices heard. At the same time, I feel the government should do enough to ensure that they are doing their part in giving back to the community, which creates so many jobs and creates so many second income earners in the country. So lots to do, I feel. I think Deep would have something to say here as well.
I'd say you
Deep, do you want to add to that?
answer. Nothing at all.
Okay, then I have a question for you, Deep. Any key trends that you see will dominate the sector in the years to come? 2 or 3 trends that you've identified that will play a significant role specifically in the sector?
Well, I'd say it'll be interesting to see more niche brands coming up. Today there are customers who have specific requirements, and if you're somebody who can identify them and solve them to the T, there is a lot of pot of gold there waiting. I'm particularly looking at elder care and this teens as a segment, which I believe is still very underserved when it comes to their needs. So those would be my two picks when it comes to trends within the category, which I'm bullish on, that they should see some disruption happening in times to come.
Right, interesting trends, and we'll keep an eye out on them. Rahul, do you have a question for Aishwarya?
Yes, and this is for my personal benefit. So, as an Aishwarya, as an entrepreneur, what are your expectations from banks? Any specific pain areas that you really expect the banks to solve, and especially for the beauty and personal care companies?
So when I just started off, at that point in time, there was I had put in my personal savings, all of it. I had quit a job just suddenly out of nowhere, out of everyone's surprise. At that point in time, if there was a place, I did go to a couple of banks because there were a few orders which came in, which needed a little bit of money at that point in time. I couldn't pick them up because there were a lot of, collaterals, paperwork. I didn't have too many savings because it already was put into the company. So if there was really, and this is back in 2016-17, where startups were being encouraged to go ahead and start their own things, and I also kind of followed that into that bandwagon. I was a first generation entrepreneur. So at that point in time, if there was a place where I could go to and really with the help of, I'm not an expert when it came to finance. So with the help of experts, if I was told, okay, look, you don't have in your small setup, you don't have a finance team. Let's just say that for first couple of years, we were also very unorganized. We started by selling one aloe vera gel. 1, 2, 20, 200, 2000, 2000, then 20,000, right? So when we were at 20 or 200, for us, we could have reached 2000 much quicker had there had been maybe finance help from the bank. Even not even money. I'm just saying that, draw it out for entrepreneurs, saying that, okay, this is what you have to do. More than the money, I think the mentorship is important when it comes to the bank, because that's the only financial institution one knows, right? When you start up, either you have your own team or you have the bank. So when a startup goes to a bank, I think that if we got that help, Rahul, then life would have been a little bit more easier. And then you lend money, and then you see what this entrepreneur brings to the table. All startups, when I was in Shark Tank, all the sharks kind of told us that we are investing in the entrepreneur. So I think that kind of how do you say, outlook should be from the bank as well. You invest on the entrepreneur, not on how many flats that I have or I own at that point in time. So that's what I would like to say.
Right. Thanks for that, Aishwarya. Rahul, I have a counter question to you. Now that Aishwarya has, put forth her wish list for when she started out, wanted to ask you at HSBC, how are you supporting the entire beauty and personal care industry? What kind of initiatives have you put in place?
Sure. So first of all, Aishwarya, I think I note that there's a feedback, and then I think let me accept that the appetite from the banks within the banking segment for the early stage companies or the startup companies is now developing. I think the situation is quite different from what it was a few years back, but I think there's still room to really improve further. But I'll also maybe pick up a few themes, Priya, to answer your question. I think the first one is, if you really see, the startups or the new age companies have a very high dependence on the technology in their business models. And for them, banking is not just operating a regular check-in account. It's also a way to deliver superior customer experience for their clients. So for example, whether it is by providing multiple payment options on their web portals to the clients, whether it is by reducing the turnaround time for processing the refund, etc. So we try to really deliver these solutions by automating their banking as much as possible. And this is done by maybe developing certain solutions in-house, as well as building partnerships with external service providers. So this is one. Second, I think I would say the new age and the startup companies in the early stage may be small in terms of size of operations. However, the business model for them is very similar to any other company, say likes of maybe Amazon, Flipkart, etc. Hence, we do not really differentiate the offering based on the size of the businesses. In fact, we try and use the solution that we have developed for the bigger companies as use case scenarios for the early stage companies. And that is something that really helps. And finally, the third one theme that I've really picked up, which is particularly helpful for the companies in the D2C space, is so companies in the D2C space are building business models not only for India. I think the business models are replicable in other geographies as well. So when they really look at expanding to the countries or geographies outside India, they need a supporting hand. And I think this is another area where we've been really focusing on. We offer our international network to companies in the early stage of their growth journey. When a company reaches a certain scale and size, I think this support is available readily from a lot of banks. But in the early stage, I think this is the segment that we are really focusing on. So we see a lot of companies, for example, from D2C space already expanding to Southeast Asia, Middle East, etc. So this is where we are really supporting them. Yeah, so these are the few themes that really what we are focusing on for supporting the company in the D2C space. I don't know if I've been able to really answer your questions questionfully, but honest attempt from my side.
Right. Thanks for that, Rahul. I have one question for all of you panelists, and it's about the kind of vision that you have for the future of the Indian beauty and personal care industry. What more can be done to increase the kind of penetration and to reach more towns, more segments of the population? So let's begin with you, Rahim.
Sure, Priya. So I think two things. One, from the industry standpoint, I think customers are maturing a lot more. We are seeing that customers are now looking to go up the value chain. Gone are the times where some brand would come with an ad on TV and people would flock and try to go for the brand just by what was said on television. There's a lot more research happening, a lot more information is being sought online. So I think what customers are looking for is not generally value for money, but they're willing to spend if they're going to see that value. So what we're seeing is the whole concept of value for money is changing to money for value, right? Where people are looking to spend a little bit more as long as they see value in that product, as long as they see solutions for their problems. Specifically for us, the kind of boost that we've seen in our professional haircare products, which provide real solutions, right? If you're looking for any kind of a certain issue with your hair, there are very specific problems that are being addressed by the professional haircare industry. And I think customers are now looking for those kind of things as opposed to just buying a over-the-counter sort of a solution. So having said that, I think there's a lot more organization that has to be brought to the industry. What we've seen in the US and in Canada. One of the things that we'll need to do at the government level is to make sure that hairdressers specifically should be certified and should be licensed to operate in the country. I think that alone will bring a lot of maturity to the industry, and we'll see the training levels, the education in this industry to grow in the right manner. So I think if these two aspects are taken care of, I think tremendous growth and tremendous opportunities lie ahead for that.
Right. Thanks for that, Rahim. Deep, let's come to you.
I've heard so much of hair that I'm almost in a trance spell right now. No. Well, we need more entrepreneurs, more solutions, and no price war. I think as long as we do this, we should be fine. And next 2 to 3 years, I think next 5 years are going to be very interesting for the entire D2C ecosystem. We are still reaching out to tier 2, tier 3 towns. They have the money, they have the information, good products, you will find your market. So I think very interesting times, and I'm looking forward to next 5 years.
Right. Aishwarya, let's come to you.
Yes, so my vision always has been that, every household should have an informed person who understands the real value of good skincare and hair care. And because, most part of this country does just, goes on and buys what the other person is buying. So basic information about what is your skin type, or what will suit you versus the person next door, or the basic importance of wearing sunscreen, or the importance of taking off makeup before you go to sleep, or the stuff that you use at home to kind of look after your skin. What is the process and what is the need for it? So the need for skincare should get predominance over the greed for skincare, is what I like to say. And yes, as women will always be greedy for skincare. That is just the rule. Okay, but at the same time, like Rahim said, that we are making informed decisions. My vision for this country is that more people make an informed choice versus the just getting up on the bandwagon kind of a choice. And how do we help in that is that I think all of us who are in this industry are now leading, especially the smaller players. We're just not giving out the fact that we have niacinamide in our product. Let's just say it's one ingredient, but we are telling you the benefits of niacinamide. We are not starting with just a confusing name which you may not be able to pronounce, and hence like it or hence buy it. We as an industry, I think we are making a lot of effort to put the point across, because we are all making great products, right? And we are all and we'll win this, like price was, yes, but we'll win this with the quality of a product, A, and B is by the amount of information that we pass across. So I think that is something that we from our side, we are going to bring to the table, and which we are, because increasingly we are only talking about the necessity and the need for it. And the vision remains the same, that everyone must make an informed decision and then only buy their skincare product or hair care.
All right. On that note, thank you, panelists, for joining us today. It's really been a very engaging discussion. And thank you so much for being part of this special roundtable series.